All right, welcome to my trade recap for today. This is David Whiteley with UL Trades, and it is, what day is it? July 13th. And what a day it has been. This day was a roller coaster ride from the very beginning and did not disappoint. Could have been worse, and it could have been a lot better. And so we'll go through it. Let's see. We'll start off with, so first thing this morning, I came to my charts and I came early because I noticed the last couple of days about 7:30, which is 7:30 my time, so 8:30 Eastern. And typically, often there's news at that time. And I've noticed a lot of times there's a perfect trade setup at that time. So I came to the charts early looking for that, and sure enough, it was there. I took one trade. I was getting ready to take another trade because it pulled right back. So this one here was the first one I took. So 7:31 my time. We're down below. We push up, come down. I get in. Now because this is early in the day. And I haven't necessarily tested, or I'm not as comfortable. I did put my profit target pretty tight. So I look at this just kind of as a bonus trade, right? If I can get a little bit off of it, then it's just a great way to start the day. And I did, from 61 down to 56. So a whole 5 ticks, but I did it with 4 contracts. So that adds up. That is one thing that I've been playing with, and I used today with pretty good success, is to really take more of a scalper mentality. I mean, the market's so sort of choppy and doesn't move a lot that instead of waiting for a 20 tick or a 30 tick target, which often gets hit, it just takes it a really long time to get there. The probability that we're going to go 5 or 10 is very, very high for these setups. And so in my mind, taking, a bigger position size just for a shorter period of time is a little bit easier. The full stop out, the risk reward is off, right? If you're only looking for 10 ticks, 10 tick profit with a 10 tick stop loss, you're 1-to-1, and which is fine as long as your win rate is high, which I expect it to be, and it was today. So we won there. It came up here, tapped, and came down. Now, this is where I learned something about the trade copier. A hard lesson, an expensive lesson. And so let's talk about it. So I've been playing with a couple of different ATM strategies. Like I said, higher position sizing. And what I did yesterday was I was trading one contract in my $25,000 account, and then duplicating that for 2 contracts in the bigger account, in the $50,000 accounts. And I had 2 different ATM strategies. And one was just a 1 contract, and the other was a 4 contract strategy. And I did not want the 4 contracts doubled in the $50,000 accounts, because one stop out on that would have blown those accounts because their trailing drawdown was so close. And so I thought I was going to be tricky, and in retrospect, I can see the flaw in this logic. So what I had done was I set up the trade copier here, and I had my leader account as like number 90 for the ATM strategy that would use 1 contract. And then I said, well, I don't want to go change all this every time. So I set up another instance of the trade copier using a different leader account where, or I guess it was the other way around. The single ones were doubled, right? So 1 contract in the $25,000 accounts, 2 contracts in the $50,000 accounts when my leader account was account number 90. I set up another one so that if I wanted to not do that and just have the same across the board, I would use account number 92. And the problem with that is that, as I learned, the way that the trade copier works is when you execute a trade. So if I executed using account number 90 as my leader account, it then duplicates that obviously across all the other accounts. The problem with that is it then triggers account number 92, which is a leader account, for all the other accounts, including account number 90, which then triggers all the others, and you see how this goes. So it created basically an infinite loop of orders, and my notifications were going crazy. I mean, every 2 seconds it was order entered, order entered, order entered, order entered, order canceled, order entered, order and I was kind of freaking out because what I had done was I'd placed the order down here at the bottom. So it hadn't executed yet. It was just on the screen, but it wasn't right. And it was starting to freak out even then. And so it was actually right here. See where this red thing is here? That's where I had set the order here so that I could move it up to enter right here, which would have been a beautiful trade. I mean, it worked out perfectly, right? We came up, we tested our 21 SMA, pulled down exactly like we want it to. It was amazing. I thought I was going to be done for the day before the day even started, and I would have. If I got this trade and this one, dude, I would have turned it off and I would have made a video and said, well, I hope the rest of the day goes great for everybody else because I'm done already. It would have been an amazing thing. But no, I had a lesson to learn. So this was wild. So I'm trying to figure out how to get out of how to close this thing because I can't even like click the X on the button here to close, to cancel the order that's just sitting there that hasn't even executed yet. It's just sitting there because every time, because it's still in this loop of creating these orders. Okay. I'm like, I don't know what to do. So, I mean, I killed it. You know, I went to, Control Alt Delete. I just closed the program and I thought, okay, well, maybe that'll do it. I restarted the computer because I'm thinking my understanding was that the trade copier executions are stored locally on my computer. And I think they are. And so I thought, well, if I kill that, it should just refresh and go away. Well, as I'm doing that, it's clicking, and it eventually enters those orders. And so I'm watching my profit and loss go like all over the place. Now, ironically, I'm not sure what would have happened if I would have just left it. I don't really know what would have happened. I think that it would have entered so many contracts that, one tick against me would have killed everything. So, in the end, I'm not even sure how I got out of the loop, to be honest with you. And I don't know. It was wild. It was wild. So I'm going to show this to you. You can go in, I'm sure you're aware, and you can have it. And usually I do this, right? Have the text markers. So you can not plot your entries. You can have the markers only, which is what I have now. So, or you can have the text and the marker, which shows you where you got in, how many contracts, and at what price. So look at this. This is crazy. Boom. There was my order activity in that, or good luck making sense of that. I mean, that was just wild. So lesson learned, do not, under any circumstances, have two instances set up in your trade copier for the same instrument. So lesson learned. Unfortunately, the fallout of that was I lost all my $50,000 accounts. They all hit their limit. At first I wasn't clear on, I was trying to figure out what's going on. So I contacted Apex and they said, yeah, it looks like you had a duplicate instance of the trade copier running that just created, an ungodly, I think it said 16,000 entries. And I said, well, it's a technical issue. It's on an evaluation account. Is there any way we can, reset those? Because there have been times in the past where Apex has had back-end issues that have messed with entries, and they've always been very good to make those situations right. This, however, was, I did it. I can't say I didn't. And they said, sorry, it is what it is. Now, fortunately, my $25,000 accounts were fine. They ended up, after that whole debacle, they were only down $300. So I felt very grateful that was the case, although I was a little disappointed to lose all my $50,000 accounts. And so what we have is, let me filter these. Other way. Okay. So what we have is, we ended the day positive really across the board. After all of the contract, all of the commissions, we are negative in our $25,000 accounts anywhere. Well, some are like break even, some are negative like $25 just because of the madness. They all got different entries, and I'm, who knows. So like these two are negative, some others are positive. And since Apex is still running their 50 or their 80% off sale, which they run a lot, of course, if you want to check that out, I have my code. You can get that code in the information below this video. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to restart since we're already so far behind in those accounts. I didn't want to reset them because they were coming up to be renewed for their monthly renewal in 2 weeks, and it's probably going to take 2 weeks to get them passed. I didn't want that, and I think the reset fee is more than just getting a new account. So I loaded up back to 20 accounts. Day one on those accounts. This is the last time I'm going to add accounts until I have performance counts. So if I end up losing some, it is what it is. Once I have performance accounts that are paying me, then I'll start building up my arsenal again. But we ended the day, not too shabby, all things considered. So, let's go through these trades very quickly. And then, I hate the way that I really dislike NinjaTrader. At least the way that their charting works. Okay. So let's talk about the trades that worked. I almost stopped trading at that point because it was like I was trying to wrap my head around, where I was at, kind of what the fallout was. All of these, this one, all this right here is part of that nightmare. Once we got all that sorted out, and honestly, I think the thing that really saved me here was those $50,000 accounts all shut down once they hit their limit, and that I think slowed the system down enough that I could break it out of its loop. So here we go. Here's my first trade. These are 4 contract trades looking for short scalps. Now, ironically enough, oil moved really well today. It moved a lot better than it's moved the last couple of days. And of course it does that on a day where I'm not in the frame of mind to really be patient and wait. If I had been able to take advantage of these early ones, and I would have been feeling good. So I still felt like I was in an okay place to trade. I wasn't going to be doing anything stupid. I was still, fortunately, like I said, my $25,000 accounts were still had, still had a good cushion. So we pushed forward. So here we go. I got into this guy, right. Well, you can't see the green. I should probably change the color of these arrows because you can't see the green arrow in the green candle. But we came down. This is the 1 minute 9 EMA. Normally don't play that, but because it matched up with the overnight open, which is this gold line here, which is very respected in oil. It was kind of two points of confirmation. So I entered 1 tick above the candle that broke through those lines. And then I sold out at 5 and 10 contracts. That was a win. We could have taken this, and I should have. The way that the market was moving, this is very smooth. This is like A+ perfect setup for this 1 minute 9 EMA trade, where the tops of these candles, including the wick, is just really smooth down. We never have a candle close below. That would have been a beautiful trade. But I'm not really watching for these as much, so I didn't take it. And then finally we wander down here. This is kind of questionable because, we have this pivot here. Okay, so we came up to a high, came down here, a lower high, and now we have a lower low than here. It's about the same place as here. So I was cautious, didn't want to get into it. And this one you can see doesn't have the thrust, the push, dramatic reaction that you see here. But it doesn't really pull back. It just kind of steadily climbs out of there. So it would have worked, but I've been burned by that in the past, so I didn't take it. So perfectly happy with that. Then we come back down. We come to the red line here. I got a little bit lucky here because I didn't see this one right away. And this candle, so this was the candle that broke through it. The second candle kind of came up one tick above, so that would have been the entry, but I missed it. And then it started kind of pushed around and bounce. But I went ahead and put my order there anyway because that's the entry. And I'm glad that I didn't get in right away, because if I had, I would have been stopped out, because it did pull back from 38. My stop would have been at 28 right here. Okay. And it did pull back to here before it pushed forward. So I didn't move my order down, which I should have, or did I? Oh yeah, I did move my order down. I lied. So as it's coming down, I'm moving it down. I get in here. I do the same thing. 5 and 10 ticks. We're out. So, 2 contracts at 5 ticks, that's $100. 2 contracts at 10 ticks, that's $200. So $300 in each of those trades. Okay. So now we're back positive. And I was done over here. That's the last trade that I had in oil. It kind of chopped around and did some weird, goofy things. And I mean, this would have been the next trade that would have made sense. I don't think it went very far though. 15 up to 22. So it only went 7 cents. So not great. And here you have, and this is a scenario you see from time to time in oil, where it'll push up, and oftentimes it's more of a push up, but this pushes up and it just goes sideways until these things catch up to it, and then it flies. Now, I don't know if there was news that happened here, or if there's some other thing that pushed this up, but clearly a strong reaction. I did come back in the afternoon, kind of waiting for something. After 2 o'clock, oil typically dies and just doesn't move anywhere, and it's just kind of petering around. So for the trades that I entered, I was 3 for 3. It would have been 5 for 5 if I hadn't been, that whole trade copier debacle hadn't happened. So anyway, I finished the day up. Then I tried to push my luck in RTY. So I'll show you that one real fast. So this is in the afternoon, 1, 2 o'clock my time. Price is coming down below the 21, comes back up to the 9, reacts. So I get in. It doesn't really go anywhere. I did move my stop down to just behind the entry candle once the entry candle closed. So I got stopped out for 8 ticks on 4 contracts. So that brought me back down to basically break even. So that was a little disappointing. It was an okay trade. Really, the 21 is more reliable in the afternoon, and the probability here is much lower because we are just moving sideways. I mean, if you scrunch this up, we're kind of in this uptrend, right? So it's a counter trend trade first of all, but we're in an uptrend, and right here the MAs are just going sideways. So if this 21 is going sideways, it reduces the probability that, you're going to be on the right side of the trade. It becomes a coin flip at that point. So that's that. There we are. Renko, I did not test Renko. The account that I used got blown. So I'm going to continue monitoring that, but I'm probably not going to put much time into it right now until I get these other ones passed. The strategy that I'm using in oil is working for me. I just want to keep pushing forward with that. But when I look back at oil, there was only one entry that would have met my criteria. Just kind of bounced around. And again, my criteria for this is very specific, so it doesn't happen often, but when it does, what I'm seeing so far at least is it happens pretty reliably, and that was right here. So this is the only one that I would have got into, and it obviously worked. So still, good signs there, and we will continue to kind of keep an eye on that. And then maybe once I get some of these established, we'll come back and actually put some money into this testing again. So that's all I had. If you use the Apex trade copier, keep in mind only one instance of a trade copy per account. I mean, you could separate it out and have half of them with 1 liter account and half your accounts with another liter account, but do not overlap those, or you'll put yourself into an infinite loop that will almost surely blow your accounts up. So, lesson learned today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Hope you guys have a great day. If you enjoyed or found any value, or even like to come just watch the craziness, feel free and subscribe. We really appreciate it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.